Shalom, my name is Yehoshua Ben Abraham, formerly Michael O'Donnell. I'm an American citizen. I live in Jerusalem for 22 years. I'm a didactic scientist, and this video is for really for the world, the millennials, the world and its millennials. That's the best way to put it, meaning the generation of the young, pretty much born since 1982 to around 1997. Okay, I want to begin with first thanking all of the tens of thousands of viewers around the world that have viewed my videos and been very kind and very respectful and very thoughtful in their remarkable and intelligent insights, and very generous with their compliments, and I thank you. Okay, in perspective, in America, we're going to begin with America, because the change that we're seeing in America is quite extraordinary. It's going to come to the world. I'll give an analogy. We've seen the 1955 Chevy Bel Air has won the sweepstakes and outsold the 1955 Ford Victoria. The Bel Air Chevy is Obama, and the Ford that has been outsold is obviously Hillary. And America was pretty upset, and is pretty upset. It got burned with a used Dodge pickup truck from Texas, and so it's determined to do better. I'm putting this in perspective. And now I'm going to mix the metaphor of vehicles. We're talking about cars in America. The world has to prepare itself because there is a Saturn rocket vehicle that's going to eclipse the 1955 Chevy and the 1955 Ford sweepstakes in America. And that's going to come out of Jerusalem. And it's going to provide another category entirely of leadership. Now I'll speak to the subject of that analogy. And it is this: my blessed friends, my brothers, my family, my brothers and sisters around the world, prepare for change on an unprecedented scale. We know about CO2, we know about climate change, we know that the present level of emissions by the year 2050, we'll see, if we don't reverse, we'll see a 3.6 to 4.2 Celsius increase in the average temperatures, and we can safely predict, and the world-class scientists have, there'll be some very significant climactic disasters. So we have to perceive this fully, comprehensively, and act with dispatch to bring about the structural transformations. But now we're going to put in context. There is, in light of the enormity of that particular change, there is another change that began 18 years ago. I'm a didactic scientist, and I observed it. That's a fancy word just for self-trained, self-educated. But I observed the phenomenon about 18 years ago, and it's since been confirmed, and the meta-narrative of 9/11 confirmed it. Bell's theorem of inequality, of the non-local phenomenon of quantum theory confirms it, and a number of other things confirm it. Far too esoteric for this video, and this brief video is just, it's not the medium for that. Okay, now let's get to what we really have to see and understand. The collapse of the local reality has two perspectives. One is, I would say, religious, and the other is humanist. Okay, the anthropological humanists would see it as the end of the pre-modern modern era and the ascent of the postmodern era, and the religious, regardless of whether any of the three monotheistic religions, the two giant ones in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, the collapse of the local reality means the end of man and mankind's exile and the ascent to the quantum reality, which is redemption. Okay, that development, the collapse of local reality globally, is going to bring the greatest change to man and mankind on a scale unimagined. Okay, Now, let us speak specifically. The collapse of local reality has confirmed the collapse of both East and West systems, the two monotheistic religions, the two major economies under the price of oil, and most particularly in respect of every human being, the anthropologic, sociologic, and psychologic model of man and mankind's exile, or his pre-modern, post-modern emotional psychologic state, which was a duality, a Cartesian derivative in many instances, particularly in science, that bifurcated the inherent personality of man globally, and he inhabited an old model, which is the model of exile, which is giving to receive. That is the local reality that collapsed. That's going to change on such an order of magnitude the scale of man and mankind. So the millennials have to know this. And because you all went to Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth and the Ivy League schools in America and in the UK, in Oxford and Cambridge, and in India, in China, and in the other countries, and in Europe and in France, you all went to the very best universities, but unfortunately you didn't learn anything about what's in this video, and you really need to know a lot about it, not just a little. Okay, so the solution to the collapse of the local reality, which is Humanomics. It's the new East-West convergence model. I'm its author. It's a trilogy. It's comprised of the body whole of the bridge of Humanomics, and its two principal paradigms. Its central organizing principle is the new cognitive behavioral science paradigm, receiving to give, and that replaces what collapsed, giving to receive. I give, I get. Now it's receiving to give. Receiving what? Receiving the authentic you to give the authentic you to you, to yourself, to your children, your spouse, your family, the community, and the world. Okay, that's receiving to give. And the second paradigm is the integration of labor, which is the new economic paradigm. And that is going to be developed by, we expect, President Obama, the next president of the United States. And it will be developed as world-class global technological infrastructure. It'll require about a $5 trillion investment, and it will combine the CO2 global warming climate problem. It will solve it, and as well it will provide for an entirely new energy policy, because energy policy, climate warming, and the macroeconomic policy are really one policy, and those will converge in world-class global technological infrastructure based in America. Take $5 trillion investment. About 60% of that investment will come from the G9, 40% will come from America. It will create tens of millions of sustainable jobs in America and tens of millions more of sustainable jobs in the G9. And it will restore, of course, America's leadership role, which I'm an American citizen, and that's something that I am very pleased about and happy and expect to see. That said, though, this is a tiny part of the picture. There's a very big world out there that needs this new macroeconomic model that replaces the division of labor, which is the Industrial Revolution model. It's a win-win situation for men and mankind. So this video is made primarily as an articulation of the big picture for the world in general, because we're not Europeans, we're not Asians, we're not Indians, we're not Africans, we're not Americans. We're one human family, and we are responsible for one another. And the solutions that are coming out of Jerusalem, Humanomics in general, and its two paradigms in particular, is the NASA Saturn rocket that eclipses the 1955 Chevy and Ford. So get ready for some get ready for the campaign to put a man on the earth, a cognitive man. Anyway, I thank you very much for listening. The purpose here was just to bring forth the general articulation for the world and the millennials, because there's not of them viewing my videos, and they're really the generation that have to carry out, develop, implement, acculturate, and execute, and teach their children what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you for listening. I'm Yehoshua, formerly Michael O'Donnell, making this video from Jerusalem. Thank you.